Before we get into this conversation, I want to ask you all some questions stemming from the roundtable conversation that Faith had with his fellow housemates last night. Do you honestly think that anything at all will come out of Dede and Cola's thing? I don't want to call it a relationship, but the thing that they have going on in the house. Do you honestly think that anything at all will come out of it? Yes or no? Or maybe explain if you can. Second question, do you honestly think that Dede and Bright Morgan will date beyond 2 years? As a matter of fact, 2 years is even too far. Do you honestly think that they would actually properly date? Do you honestly think that? Do you honestly believe that? What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comment section below. Now, you see, those questions were quite necessary. They're necessary because I think that was a major crux of the conversation that happened last night between Faith and other housemates. And you see, the thing about the situation is, most of the time, these housemates are the ones that usually ask Faith questions. They usually fire him questions. And then when he begins to analyze those questions, when he begins to give his responses, sometimes some of them, they get uncomfortable. Other times, they want to listen. And it was quite impressive that all of them that were at that table last night, they were literally paying attention because they knew that it was actually saying the truth and nothing but the truth. So I was quite impressed that, okay, these housemates are actually evolving into a full state of maturity because now their emotional intelligence is quite at play here. You know, I mean, at the start of the season, it would have resulted in a fight. It would have resulted in a huge altercation. You know, it would have been Midday shouting, how dare you, how dare you. It would have been Dede shouting, you're crazy, you're stupid, you little thing, as she calls, Faith. But I was quite impressed that last night, they paid attention, they were listening, and they were agreeing, they were concurring with the many things that he was saying. Now, you would ask, how did that conversation come about? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be frank with all of you. I do not know the beginning of that conversation because the cameras did not necessarily show the actual beginning of that conversation, right? Of course, the cameras had to be touching at different points in the house. But when the cameras landed on that dining table where that conversation was happening, a lot was said. A lot was said. Now, we're going to fast forward into the statements that Faith made. He was trying to buttress a point, and then he made the statements that is why when he looks at Midday and Bright's situation, he does not believe that their relationship can go beyond 2 years. That Midday should watch and see. That even though Midday cannot find him, that he will find Midday because she's going to be a star by that time. She's going to find him and tell him. Now, you can tell that that statement really shook Midday to her core. She was shocked. Like, it really shook her. But I love the fact that she wanted to know his reason. So she had asked, okay, why do you think so? Let me know your reason. Let me know your reason. And he had explained that, well, when people look at you, look at the pattern in your relationship, what people see is you are just entertaining him because you do not have a lot of options. And then Faith went ahead to explain, how the house works. Now, of course, this is a social experiment. You as an individual, you have your spec for a person you would want to be with. There are people all around the world. There are people everywhere that you can just boldly say that, okay, this is my spec. This is the person I want. There's so many characteristics, so many qualities in an individual that you would love to tag as your lover, your person. But then in Big Brother's house, there are only limited options. And so what happens is you now have to narrow down your options. You have to limit yourself to make do with what is available. So according to all these things that Faith explained, Midday has had to entertain Bright Morgan because there are limited options according to what she would have loved. And you see, yeah, as he was explaining from Mide's body language, you could tell that she knew that he was actually telling the truth. Yeah. And you see, yeah, guys, let's just deviate for a bit. Between Friday and yesterday, Sunday, watching how Midday has really shed a lot of tears for Bright Morgan. The way she's cried. I mean, yesterday morning, she woke up with her eyes swollen. Her lips were red. Her eyes were red. Her face looked really puffy from all the crying she had been doing since Saturday night after the party, after Bright Morgan's eviction. Guys, I have tried to analyze that situation. And the one question I kept on asking myself is, did this girl really fall in love with this guy? Or is it all the, please, oh, those of you that understand the language of sex, right? Let me know the science of sex and all of it. Let me know if I'm right or wrong. There's this chemical that is said to be produced during sex between the two parties involved. And that chemical is what is responsible for, creating a bond between them, especially when the sex is regular. The chemical is frequently produced when they kiss and when they have intercourse. So what happens is a bond is created. Yeah. And also it doesn't really help matters because these two, they are locked up in a confined space. So day in, day out, they get to spend time with each other. They're talking to each other. They see each other all the time. So the question I kept on asking myself was, if this was in the real world, would Midday have taken this eviction this way? Or is it because of the experiment itself, the house itself, the bond that they have shared, for the lack of any other thing to do aside them looking at each other's faces almost all the time, and then little 1 or 2 hours that they have to engage in task. But you can bet that at least 20 hours a day, or let's say 22 hours in a day, they spend it with each other. If you calculate all the hours in 8 weeks, no, yeah, call it 8 weeks. In 8 weeks, ladies and gentlemen, that's a lot of hours. So that's a question for all of you, by the way. So when Faith was explaining all of these things, ladies and gentlemen, listen, I was just giving this guy a round of applause because I'm like, that's it. The lack of options. And also when you think about it too, you look at what Coin and Isabella has. Ladies and gentlemen, do you think that on a normal day, a girl like Isabella that has responsibilities, that has a 14-year-old son, that has bills to pay, that is living in a 4-bedroom duplex in Lagos, that has siblings to pay their bills, to take care of. Do you think that a girl like Isabella will be moving around with Coin as her sole suitor or her sole lover? Do you think that would be the case? Do you think that Coin, on the other hand, will also, of all the many people in this whole world, especially in even Lagos state of Nigeria, do you think that Coin will single out Isabella and say, this is the one person I want to be with, a 21-year-old boy? I mean, it's not like we cannot find love in the strangest places. We can, but do you think that's a possibility? So, ladies and gentlemen, Faith's explanation was 100% valid. And in a way, I kind of agree with him because in my own analysis, in my own observation, I have looked at both their situations, and you can tell that Midday has a standard. Yeah. She might have presented herself to be an easy lay by easily giving into, the sexual activities between herself and Bright. But when you look at how you study her lifestyle, you know that this girl is expensive. So the question now will then be, is she the kind of girl that does not really mind if a guy is able to foot her bills? Or is she the type of girl that does not mind being with a guy for love? Is she the kind of girl that does not mind being with a guy because even if he has a girlfriend? Is she the kind of girl that is okay with being the side piece? What is it? What kind of situation does she enjoy being in terms of relationships? You have to think about all of these other angles to it. And I feel like that was part of what Faith was explaining. And as I said before, I love the fact that the housemate did not overly take it too personal because for them, it was a learning moment. So they were all learning. And then Faith had moved on to Dede as well. For Dday and Cola situation, he had explained that whatever they have will never get anywhere. And the reason for that is because Dede is a selfish person. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that is not an insult. On Saturday night, Faith and Dede, they had conversations where they were trying to read each other. Dede had agreed that she's a selfish person. She has always said it, that she's very selfish. She likes it when people do things for her. She likes attention. Faith, on the other hand, said that he's a selfless person. He enjoys doing things for people. Yeah. So that makes them two opposing ends. And it's not a bad thing. It just means that they are fashioned out, in different ways. It makes them unique as individuals that they are. So he had repeated the same thing, that, the reason why things would never happen between, like nothing would ever get anywhere between Dede and Kola is because Dede is a very selfish person. She prefers people doing things for her. Kola, on the other hand, as much as he's a very muscular guy, he likes it when people take care of him. He likes it when people do things for him. In other words, Dede and Kola, they have a lot of things in common. Kola is a baby boy. He's the kind of guy that loves to be pampered. He loves to be babied. Now, Dede, on the other hand, is not that type of girl that loves to pamper a guy. She enjoys being pampered. She enjoys being at the receiving end. So according to Faith, a time will come, even if they decide to try anything outside, a time will come when Kola will realize that he actually deserves more than what he's getting from Dede. And so he will have to move on and check his options elsewhere. And ladies and gentlemen, I totally agree with Faith 100%. And if I were to add something to what Faith said to both Dede and Kola, I would tell you for free that the kind of girl that Kola would naturally love and gravitate towards, aside aesthetics and all whatnot, it is definitely the kind of girl that Imisi is. If Imisi had the aesthetics that Dede has, I put it to you that in the real world, not in the house, because in the house, it probably won't work because Kola enjoys the chase, right? But in the real world, Kola would definitely be running towards someone like Imisi. And that's what I'm going to add there. Now, Dede tried to contest it for a bit, but then she realized that he was actually saying the truth. Everybody too was like, oh yeah, it's true. Kola also realized that it is true. So at some point, he sat at that table listening to everything. But then at some point, he moved out. He left. And Faith and everybody else was calling him back. He said, no, he has had enough for one night. So he left. But the interesting thing is, what Faith was saying was not strange, because every other person on that table, they had seen that is the case, and they had seen that Faith was saying nothing but the absolute truth about their situation. But ladies and gentlemen, I would love to hear from all of you. So share your thoughts in the comment section below, what you think about what Faith has said. And moving on to Jason J and Sultana's conversation. Sultana had actually said after the live reaction show that she was not going to entertain any conversations around what happened between Jason and Joanna the previous night, that she doesn't want to talk about it. She doesn't want to make a story out of it. But then the conversation happened. So they were in the garden, she was eating, and Jason was explaining himself. He was saying that after all, they both had a conversation about their situation, that they are not a thing, they're not an item. And he had told her that he cannot be boxed, that he loves his freedom and he wants to do whatever he wants to do. And Sultana had sat quietly for a while listening to him. But then she had lost it. Because for her, listen, I understand. We had a conversation. But then you owed it to me. You should have told me that, okay, you were attracted to Joanna so that I can remove myself from the situation. Where I have a problem now is you not telling me you're attracted to Joanna, and so you left me in the dark, and I am in that situation, and now look at what it has resulted into. That was Sultana's argument. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be frank with all of you. It was so painful and embarrassing that as Sultana was purgating her emotions to Jason, the guy was not even taking her serious. At some point, he said, can I go and get cigarettes? He wanted to go and get cigarettes. Somebody was there purgating how you hurt her, and you say you want to go and get cigarettes. It was so annoying. And you see, for Sultana, I blame her as well. Because one, she was the one that put that idea in Jason J's head. I explained it during our live conversation on Saturday, so there's no need going into the genesis of this whole thing. Number two, Sultana is lying when she says that she was not aware of the situation. She was fully aware. And as I said before, the first reason, she was the one that put that idea in Jason's head. Jason J was only practicing Sultana's suggestion. Yep. Initially, Jason J did not have the mind to do this triangle thing, but she put the idea in his head. She encouraged him. She enabled him. And so Sultana cannot sit there and tell us that, oh, every Saturday night and during the pool parties, when she sees Jason J going to go and rock Joanna, dancing with her erotically, that she does not think or know that there was an attraction. She can't sit there and act oblivious to the situation because it was very obvious for everybody to see. It was very glaring. So it was just, listen, yeah, I did not take their conversation serious because as far as I'm concerned, both of them knew exactly what they were doing. They knew. Even when Ebuka had called out Jason J before, Sultana would just smile and laugh. They knew. So I feel like Sultana is getting a kick off the storyline, getting a kick off the continuity of their narrative this season. Hence the reason she wasn't really contesting anything when she perceived it, when she knew that there was something going on between Joanna and Jason J. I felt like her, purgating her emotions last night. It was just more of her trying to put up a show. Yeah. And another thing I forgot to add is that Faith had actually revealed that even before Jason J and Joanna had their moment beneath the sheets, that he knew that they were going to do it. He knew that there was an attraction there. Hence the reason he wasn't really bothered. So the reason why he has zoned out during the live eviction show was when Ebuka started talking about, oh, you were professing your feelings and affections and whatnot. He said that was when he just zoned out. Because for him, nah, it wasn't something he wanted to listen to. And ladies and gentlemen, now when you think about it now, everything now makes sense, like crystal clear sense. The reason Faith did not bother eulogizing Joanna during the Aquafina task, ladies and gentlemen, now everything makes absolute freaking sense. Oh my goodness. Now it makes sense. Because if you add 2 and 2 together, you would realize that Faith possibly knew that there was already something going on between Joanna and Jason J. So he was not going to waste such an intimate moment in a task, eulogizing a girl that does not reciprocate whatever his affections are for her. This is such a eureka moment. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, how do you interpret that whole situation? Go ahead, let me know in the comment section below as I end this video right here. I'll see you guys on another episode of Frankly Speaking with Bbnaija. Thanks for watching. Have an amazing day. Bye.